I feel like that's just gonna be another topic that we have to get over or discuss very
like just
formally.
talking.
No, anime men.
Oh, I feel that. We could talk about husbandos and waifus for our next podcast. I'd be down.
My experience is going to be sorely limited to Free and Yuri on Ice.
Yeah. No, the best
It's
choices, honestly.
something. Yeah. Listen. Yeah, it's good. Right. What were we talking about? Hi. Welcome to another Filipino Boo podcast. Yeah.
Woo.
On this week's episode.
We're doing this weekly? What?
Oh no, we're not doing it
My.
weekly. God knows we're all too busy.
Good lord, what? Don't give me a heart attack, Wizzy.
Yeah, sorry.
I have to edit these, you know.
Yeah.
Give them a
But
week.
yes, on today's episode, we'll be talking about Asian parenting and tiger parenting. One and the
Ooh.
same. Yes.
Ooh, I should close my door for this. Hold on.
Oh yeah, the tea is real. God.
Indeed.
Yeah. Do we introduce ourselves again?
I mean,
Or
we
like,
can.
yeah, we can. Oh, I'm
Oh.
hosting, right? Hi, I'm Wizzy. I am a freelance voice actor. I do singing and art on Instagram, and I Twitch sometimes. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. Hi guys, I'm Spywi, amateur voice actor, making an indie anime, getting a lot of hate on TikTok. You know how it is.
The usual.
Yeah.
You know, I call that a Tuesday.
Oh my god. Wow, it really be like that today, huh?
I know.
Yeah, it's just a mood, you know.
Oh my. Are we just doing introductions?
Yeah, just for now.
Oh, for now. Okay.
Mhm.
Hello, everybody. My name's Maycon. I'm a webtoon ambassador. I work with voice actors. I'm a voice actress myself, kind of amateur though. It's nice to see that you guys are listening to us again. Now, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome.
And I hope you guys enjoy our next discussion today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so I guess we go into topics now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very, very sensitive and, very vulnerable for a lot of us.
Yes.
I guess we could start with basically your first experience, like your earliest experience that you guys could recall with like tiger parenting. Like when you finally realized, like this isn't how normal parenting is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, give an explanation of what tiger parenting is for those that don't know.
Yeah, okay. So I've actually done a lot of research on tiger parenting. I wrote it as a final paper in my high school and a final paper in college. Basically, tiger parenting is a concept made by I think Harvard professor Amy Chua, and it's basically where you have to like strictly discipline your child in order for them to grow up successful. So like, the stereotypes where Asians are supposed to be good at everything, yeah, that's based on like tiger parenting and stuff.
Oh god.
Yeah. it's a very sensitive topic because it gets emotional.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh.
It's very like mentally draining. It
really
really kills like your mental energy. I guess your I don't know the right term, but somewhere along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So should we start with like your earliest experience? Like I feel like that's a good place to start,
Like earliest experience, or like when did we first realize?
I feel like they're one and the same unless you have like different counts of them being different.
Kind of. I suppose I
kind of agree that they're kind of different.
Okay, then we could start with either
I'm
one.
already talking, so yeah, I can just start
you
it. There we go. Well, I say that they're kind of different because it's like, I guess me like sort of waking up from the simulation, quote unquote, would be like sometime around middle school, I guess, where it's like a lot of the times when my parents would take us to like social events, they would always introduce me as the oldest child. They would always talk about like, oh, he has like such good grades and he's doing like chess club and he's playing an instrument and all that. And like, I don't know, just hearing that over and over again, like it started to make me think like, am I only as good as my grades, or am I only as good as like the stuff that I do as opposed to just me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I start to think back. It's just like middle school, elementary school. It's like I was always part of like some sort of gifted program. Middle school, they entered me into like academic decathlon or whatever you call it. For some reason, they also signed me up for like a geology club. And I was just like, there was an entire section of my life where I was just like, I really hate learning about rocks, but I have to be here for a grade.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so like I didn't really have a say so much into what I like wanted to learn or like what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do. So like my parents really wanted me to join a choir or do some sort of instrument because they both they tell the story all the time about how they met in like church choir. And so they were hoping that like, you know, I could excel at music. And then, of course, like they were both like top students in their university. And so they always wanted me to do good in school and always be respectful. And there's always that high standard for, you know, achieving and overachieving. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it spans back like a long time ago into the past. But I guess like me sort of like coming to that realization was like in middle school.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, I'm trying to think back to kind of like the main incidents where it kind of affected my mental health. I honestly didn't realize it was this type of parenting until much later, like probably college later,
Mm.
because of how it was so engraved into my mind that it was technically like, oh, this is their way of showing that they appreciate me, and that I need to pay it back. I need to pay back what they've done for me, and I need to give them like the best that I could. Like I remember in high school, my mom always mentioned how I got honor roll a lot in middle school. Like in high school, I was just like the average kid. I was like a C and B kid because like I
Mm.
did a lot of extracurricular stuff. In high school, I did volleyball in season or during season and off season. So I was busy, and then I didn't really have any other hobbies then. I've always wanted to pursue some type of art, but I just didn't really have the talent to draw, and I didn't really know what I was good at the time. So my mom would always tell me like, you always did you did good in middle school. Why aren't you doing good now? Stuff like that. Very blunt questions. Kind of affected me really early. And then when I started to recognize all the little incidents like way back then, and I was starting to get, you know, uh very confident in myself, at least, giving myself the support that I needed. That's when I was like, well, shoot, that wasn't supposed to be said to a 15-year-old. That's not supposed to be yeah, that's not supposed to be said in general. That's kind of mentally scarring, not gonna lie. A lot of the tactics that were used from my end, at least, was guilt or
Mm.
guilt tripping. That's something that was something that they used a lot. I'm looking at my door just in case like no one wants.
You're frying.
Yeah, I'm just like slowly like looking over my shoulder just like just and also I guess being honest and talking about feelings isn't really a path or an option set in an option to take in an Asian household.
Ooh.
Okay, before I continue ranting, please do take the mic away, please.
Okay. So I guess we're talking about our first experiences and like when we first realized it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did, yeah, that's what I offered up, right? Um, I guess my first experiences of like seeing it happen was like somewhere around elementary school. I think I was like in fifth grade or something, or I was like in one of the lower grades, and oh god, I was always into like the gifted and talented programs. I don't know if you guys had that at your school.
Yeah.
And then
Mm.
suddenly in high school, I wasn't in the gifted and talented programs anymore, which made me feel guilty for some reason. And like all my other classmates who, were seemingly average, no shame on them. were getting into like the program and the scholarship benefits, and I was like doing all the stuff that I can, like getting into AP classes and taking like SATs and ACT prep, and
Mhm.
still not getting like recognition from other programs. I don't know, it made me feel bad. And so I just had like a lot of self grief, I guess, because I was always expected to like be top of the class, which
Mhm.
in the end I did. Like I was top 10 in my high school after I graduated. But like just not being able to I don't know, being compared at the moment it made me feel terrible. Again, I guess my very, very first experience was when I had a friend in elementary school. She was like my neighbor, and we would go to the same school. And we were doing my homework because I was a dummy at math, you know? And my mother complained that I wasn't smart enough and I had like a younger kid helping me with homework.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was terrible. No, I still remember her words. It was like, "You're dumber than a first grader," and it hurt.
What? She
Ye
actually said that?
Yeah, no, yeah, those words were, like they were scarred into my, like, brain for, like, ever.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Aw.
and I guess the first time I realized it was when I had, friends who were not of Asian descent, like, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because before I used to have a lot of friends in elementary school who were of, like, similar race. Like, there were a lot of
Mhm.
Vietnamese kids in my elementary, so I thought it was just normal until I
Mhm.
went to, like, mostly a Hispanic school, and I was like, "Okay, it's not as, different, but it's still similar." 'Cause I don't know. Just Filipinos and Hispanic moms are similar in a way, but
Mhm.
I also had, like, white friends who just lived their life, like, they didn't care if their grades were bad or if their, life was just a miss.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then it was just I don't know. Would you call it a culture shock even though it's not really a culture shock?
I'd say so.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's just like, well, I've never experienced it before, so I don't know. It just felt weird to me being like the outsider to like, is this normal? Is this what
Yeah.
like Americans actually do?
Mhm.
Question mark. But
Uh-huh.
yeah. That was my experience and my differences and stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yes.
Ooh.
Um yeah. You want to go on the next topic?
Well, let's
Or
one
like
the one thing that I was kind of looking up because I didn't have too much time to prep for this.
right.
Like how much did like your parents value studying, like or like grades in general, and like what were some repercussions? Because I have some interesting stories.
Mm.
Like this is more like high school going into college,
Yeah.
but it's like at least for me, it's like growing up as the straight A student throughout all of elementary school to high school was like, I was one of the kids that seemed naturally smart, or at the very least, like I didn't really need to study as much. And that really messed up with my like college study habits.
I know, I feel
Y-
that. Uh-huh.
So it's like the point where it's like I think I told you guys at some point, but freshman year I almost ended up having to drop out just because of like grades and stuff.
Mm.
And it was essentially like the first time where I've been so conditioned that like, grades are key, grades are king. You got to have straight A's, you got to be a good student. That
Mhm.
getting anything lower than a C like physically hurt me. Like I was one of those kids where it's
Mhm.
like getting a low grade like almost gave me PTSD from like various childhood like warnings and yellings and arguments.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then of course it's like near the end of my like college career, like I ended up having to take an extra year because I failed too many classes senior year.
Mhm.
And like it really hurt me to call my dad and say, "Hey, I failed this year. I need to take another year."
Mhm.
Yeah. And like by the time like college rolled around, like he had mellowed out in terms of like getting angry over grades, but like there's still that residual fear of just like what if he gets mad at me? What if he kicks me out? What if he forces me to do this or that or drop out?
Mhm.
So you can see that it like just the act of like making sure that I'm studying all the time and keeping me from doing like other kid stuff, like that really messed me up later in life.
Yeah. Ooh. I was actually I'm pretty grateful or thankful that like my parents weren't really I mean, they were still very adamant on, conditioning me or like telling me consistently like you need to make sure that you get really good grades, And I tried my best, I wasn't too right. I didn't really stick out as much because I kind of just like went with the flow, and that's how I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just went with whatever was just given to me, and I kind of just did it, gave my best, and then it was kind of just very average. The only thing that actually kept me happy during school was just playing volleyball, and that was like even though like my grades were average, I had to make sure I just wanted to make sure that it was at least my GPA was higher than like a 2.0 just so that I could play, because that was the only time that like my parents thought like I had actual skill, you
Oh.
know.
Mhm.
So that was one thing that kept me going, and that's what I thought in school too. I thought my only talent was in volleyball, and that kind of like steered towards like my college major later on, because my parents thought like, oh, you could definitely go to like med school because you're into sports, you can help other people, blah blah blah. I'm like, "Ugh." That's a whole nother topic, by the way, but like it that was they were like very despite being very adamant, they were still kind of lenient but still very persistent uh in telling me that good grades are key. That's the only way that you can technically make a living once you become an adult. If you have good grades, you can get a good job. Once you have a good job, you'll be financially stable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm more similar to Spywi because I never really had to study as much because I always did get good grades in the end.
Hmm.
But my parents, or like I should say my mom, really valued good grades. My dad was sort of like man about it as long as I didn't fail. He was pretty chill about it.
Hmm.
Maybe I should also clarify, I'm also half, so my Asian side is from my mom mostly. My white side is from my dad. Um, but yeah, my mom was really, I don't know, expectant of me to get, like, good grades. Like,
Hmm.
if I had less than an A, I would get some sort of punishment. Like, this one time I had a B, and she would just take away my phone, and yeah, it was a time that I didn't really understand because I was just like, I'm still not failing, so I don't really understand this sort of type of punishment.
Hmm.
I don't know, but, like, even now still going through college, I'm still sort of struggling, but you know that saying, "C's get degrees," yeah, mhm. Totally
Yeah.
butchered that,
Mm.
but C's get degrees, um, I there's, like, I think it's called the FERPA Act, where you don't really necessarily need to tell your parents about your grades or the university about your something. It's like you protect your personal info from your, like, other adults, basically.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm. So I chose the option of not telling my mother, what
Ooh,
kinda
you too?
grades I got. Yeah. Listen, I was just really afraid because college to me was like high school on crack, basically. So
Yeah.
it was basically the same subjects except harder.
Yeah.
And as a freshman, I was really concerned that if I did poorly, my mother would find out, and God knows what she would do if
Mhm.
I failed a class or something. If I like couldn't use my phone after getting like a or not like getting an A, then like I couldn't imagine what it would be like just failing a college class because I wasn't,
Mhm.
like, good enough. But yeah,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that was it. At least that's my experience of it. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, that goes back to the whole guilt tripping thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess we could talk about that then
Good.
for guilt tripping for sure. You would wanna start?
I went last time.
Okay. I'm trying to think of a scenario. Oh, so this is something that like my parents would always tell me. Uh, when you're under someone's life insurance or health insurance, right? So I'm currently under my dad's health insurance, and I am under his name until I'm 26, right? So one thing that they've always told me is that you need to finish school. This is what they tell me, like, to this day too. Finish school, finish school, get good grades, blah, 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 and get so you can find a job. So that job can help pay for health insurance. And this was something that kind of like they embedded into my mind because they always tell me like, oh, once we die, you won't have like health insurance. You need to take care of, us or whatever. You need to get good grades ASAP, or you need to finish school ASAP, so then like you can get that job and then you can take care of us. I don't know if this is gonna stray into the topic of guilt tripping, but they used the excuse of them passing on very early and trying to like scare me that they're gonna like die soon, just so then I could hurry up and get those achievements done. I don't know if that considers it.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's skill tripping
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that was one thing that they used all the time. And even talking to like my other cousins about it too. I mean, some parent even my aunts and uncles. I mean, they kind of use the same thing, maybe just alter the words a little bit, but along those lines, it's like that. And another thing is that they always say like, I feed you, I give you clothes, I buy all of your gadgets or whatever, and you're not even doing anything for me, blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I had it in my mind, I think yesterday. I had it yesterday because I was so heated yesterday, but now it's kind of just clouded. I
Mhm.
hear it like every day, but then even if I want to say it, I can't say it because I hear it every day and it doesn't come up in my mind. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I say that's one instance of guilt tripping, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, guilt tripping for me is basically the rundown of like the 3-hour lecture,
Yep.
of like you're not doing this one thing that I told you to do. It's so simple, so why didn't you do it? Or
Mhm.
basically trying to compare me to other people and be like, you're so ungrateful. Look at all these other kids who have to struggle more than you do
Look at
to
these kids from like the Philippines.
yeah, look at these kids from the Philippines, or look at these younger people who are just trying to live by, who have it worse than you. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, it makes me feel bad. Or sometimes when I feel like a little naughty girl and I'm like a little defiant a little bit sometimes. She's like, you can't talk to me that way. I'm your mother. You don't know how hard it was for me to do all the things I'm doing for you.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just a thing in my head where it's just like, well, okay, let me always constantly be on her good side so I don't have to feel like I'm a burden.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think like for me it comes down to kind of similar the whole comparison thing. Like especially like, being in my 20 somethings and still living at home. That sort of expectation of just like, oh, by the time like we were your age, we were already married and had you. I'm
Yep.
just
Mhm.
like and I'm just sitting here on my phone trying to like scroll through Instagram.
What a mood though.
But it's like I don't know. It's like that sort of expectation that we as a generation are supposed to be like we're already supposed to have our shit together. But like I don't know. Like especially my mom, like she's the Facebook parent where she
Oh
just
my
like
Oh,
god.
she
no.
scrolls through Facebook and yes, she also does look at those quote unquote sources.
Oh no.
Um but besides the point, she also kind of just like it's sort of that same comparison where it's just like, oh, look at this kid that you used to watch in youth group. He's like 21, he's married, he has a kid already, he has a house.
The heck?
And I'm just like, Mom, he went to the Navy. Of course he got married early.
Oh.
And, and
Oh,
then
okay, okay, that makes much more
yeah,
sense.
but
Yeah.
it's that whole comparison of just like, why haven't you gotten married yet, or why haven't you thought about like moving out or having a job? And it's sort of like
Ooh.
I guess it's sort of the opposite kind of guilt tripping, where it's just like you're sort of freeloading on us. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no. Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's sort of the same thing. It's just like that whole, you know, trying to tear me down with like, oh, you could be doing this, or you could be doing that, and you're just sitting in your room. And then like
Mhm.
if we were even to like speak up about it, like Macon said, it's just like how could you? We raised you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like I try to make the comparisons just like if I'm in my room and like, watching YouTube or streaming on Twitch, it's like I look at you and you're on the couch watching the 5th season of The Big Bang Theory or um, you know, going through the entirety of Downton Abbey. I don't know. It's like it's the same comparison, but they just don't like being talked back to.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a like a pride thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something that they take very personally when they shouldn't.
Right.
I don't know.
It's like times have changed too as well.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I think I saw this thing on like Instagram or something where it was like a screenshot of a tweet talking about like how there are like generational changes between like boomers and now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it said like sometimes children don't dream of labor. And I think that's just like so true because like, there are easier ways to get money now or just like, you could be lazy and still
Mhm.
do the thing you love and just it doesn't require all this heavy duty things that I think our parents expected life to like just throw at us.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I think my parents still don't believe me when I tell them that I can make money online just talking into a microphone.
Mhm.
Same.
Yeah. No, they don't believe it until like they actually like see
See
money
it. Mhm.
like on PayPal or something. It's
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my god. With that whole YouTube journey thing, this was something that, well, I've definitely told you guys about. This happened, I had an incident like on my 4th year of college. And I'm still in like I'm technically still in community college. So, they always ask me like, when are you done? When are you done? It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be only 2 years. Why are you on your 4th? You know? And I had like this talk with my parents, and obviously it was a family meeting, right? So I had this talk with my parents, and it definitely hurt my pride, but I knew I had to talk about it eventually. Like I couldn't hide it from them anymore, you know.
Mhm.
um so eventually when I had that talk with them, they were not they were kind of just like iffy about it because of the direction that I wanted to take. Technically me just coming out saying like I want to be content creator because like this is more than just like having the ability to play volleyball now. Like I actually have skill that I think that I could pursue.
Mhm.
And they were kind of just like, why, like what's that gonna how is that gonna help you? I don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
they I guess when they look at social media, they look they kind of forget that social media is technically like a farce. It's
Mm.
social media shouldn't be really taken seriously, but since people are so engrossed in it, they're kind of just expected they expect me to like make millions of dollars because social media kind of just call it social media emphasizes that if you're a content creator you're supposed to make like billions of dollars, you're supposed to be like big, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what they expect me to.
Yeah.
So just
Mhm.
more things they expect, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Thinking of it. Oh, you could
Well,
go.
I'm just gonna sort of keep going with that. It's like
Mhm.
um to the point where it's like we're basically sitting in our rooms like working on our own stuff, and you ever get the feeling like no matter how hard we work on stuff, like they're not gonna see how much work we put into stuff.
Yep.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yep.
So
Mhm.
so like for me it's like I put so much work into the animations, I put so much work into like music and voice acting and streaming, and my mom is still of the belief that you can pause a League of Legends game.
Oh my
Ooh,
god.
It's
Oh
it's
no.
it's kind of like that where it's
that's
like
actually toxic.
yeah, it,
Oh.
so it's to the point where it's just like I don't know, it's like talking with them or like living through all of that. Is it I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I still feel like I'm like so different from my parents to the point
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah, no,
it's not like alienation or like pushing them away. It's just like I just don't feel the same as them.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I was feeling that recently, actually. You guys know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys definitely know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I feel like at least the generation that our parents are in, especially now as immigrant parents, have like this giant concept of like the American dream, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
like once you're in America, you do the hard work, you become successful and you stay successful. And I just I don't believe it. Like I feel like the American dream is just not true cuz I've seen my mom work very hard and she's still struggling. So
Mm-hmm.
like not to shame her or anything, but like I think she just puts too much hope into like you know, dreaming of becoming successful just through like pure labor.
Yeah. And like I
Mhm.
said earlier, it's like times have changed. It's like it was so much easier like 5 years ago to go internet viral than it is now. It's so much easier to like graduate college and get a job before than it is now. Like especially now with everything that's going on.
Right. I feel like well, there's also this too, because like I know a lot of people who pursue like these different majors, but still don't pursue like a job within that field, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, take you for
Exactly.
example.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're
Look at that.
doing computer science major and you're doing animation.
Yeah, 5 years of coding and software and struggling to get my networking working and all that for I make funny cartoons on the internet.
Yeah, though to be fair, your real job does cover that field somewhat. I
It a
just
little bit, but then
yeah.
again, it wasn't in my job description when uh,
Ah, I
I
see. Okay.
I can kind of talk a little bit about it, but it's like I was saying to them off of the recording, but like I basically joined the company that I work for like IT work and coding, but I
Mhm.
don't actually do any coding at my job, really. It's just fixing printers and resetting the Wi-Fi, and then recently it's like running the company live streams. So I'm just like, what was all the 5 years of yelling and arguing and studying for? I don't know.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like with that we could talk about like your parents' reactions when you told them that you did not agree with, their ideals of you.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Like, you should be a doctor. Like, no, mom, I want to be something else.
Do you want to go first, Spywi? Unless
Yeah,
you weren't ready.
no, I can go. I can go. There's a lot I can say.
Uh-huh.
Well, my parents, well, here's the thing. They didn't necessarily like push me towards any one particular career path or goal. I guess they wanted me to choose for my own. And like when I told them that I couldn't really choose because I didn't really like know what I want, that's when they got mad because then it's just
Mhm.
like going back to the whole like we're supposed to have our own stuff figured out. It's just like you guys have been setting my goals for me for like high school, college, middle school that I don't even know what I want anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so would like when I told them that, it's just they're just like, so there are kids your age that have stuff figured out, and I'm just like, yeah, because they don't have Asian parents.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, like when I told them that I wanted to do computer science, they were happy because that seemed like a very like profitable field. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I told them that I applied for all the big jobs and didn't get in, they're just like, well, try harder.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
It's like not even sympathy. It's just like try harder.
it's like that one video on YouTube. It's like, I got an A plus. You could do better.
Yeah, my parents got mad at me when I didn't do the extra credit questions on my homework.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
same.
yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. So I don't know how off topic I went, but yeah, basically it's like I don't know. My parents, they have their own like ideals for what I could be, and like I guess at a very young age I kind of just started to rebel against what they wanted me to be.
Mm, same. Very much same. My parents hinted a lot. Like, well, they weren't subtle about it. Like, I understood their intentions, and I understood that, they would oftenly say that it's for the best. It's for the best of me. Yeah, they're doing what's best for me. and they know better and blah blah blah. It wasn't until afterwards when I started doing this when I was gradually doing the whole YouTube thing, where my dad kind of convinced me. This is after the talk, by the way. So
Oh.
this is after the talk, and then like that's when my dad like my dad told me I wanted you to be a surgeon. Like he told me, it's like I wanted you to go to school in San Diego and become a surgeon, because before content creation, I wanted to go to school in San Diego. So because there seemed to be a lot more options there. And I even wanted to play for San Diego State. But, in high school, no one really told me anything about how your grades are going to affect your college application, because no one really told me. I didn't really like going to the counselor's office because I felt like I was in trouble, because in my head, if I were to be going to someone's office, I feel like I'm just going to get yelled at. So I didn't like going, and it felt embarrassing for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt really embarrassed that they looked at my grades and it wasn't good enough. But yeah, so when they first heard about it, they were kind of just like, "What is how is that going to help you? Is content creation like okay? I mean, you need to go to school for it, right?" I'm like, "No, I mean, like, all the stuff that I know of is through experience." And that was one thing that I told my mom about too, that there's a lot of people who are getting jobs right now that don't even have college degrees. It's based on just your experience, what you know, technically who you know. So, you know, it's I think she's still kind of like iffy about it. It wasn't until I told my mom that I've been getting sponsorships, or like I've been getting offered like sponsorships, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're like big now, huh?" I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, that's not really how it works." But it really isn't until positive, and when I mean positive things, like good financial things start popping up, that's when they'll start acknowledging it. But it's very minimal. I like they support me for what I do. Like they realize how much work and how many hours it takes to just make a video. But I think it's also they still kind of shrug it off low key.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've like stopped telling my mom all my small accomplishments, like with YouTube and stuff. Like, cause
Yeah.
whenever I tell her, like, oh, I've hit over 1,000 subscribers, she gives
Mhm.
me no reaction, or like anything good I do, like I get no reaction for it. So I just like, I don't tell her stuff anymore. And then
Mhm.
she gets mad at me, which, understandable, but like, if I tell you something positive, please give me a reaction.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was never like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
with me, it was just always meh. It was always
Yeah.
just meh.
Or like, so.
Yeah,
Oh god, I
and
hated that.
I
Mm.
guess going back into, like, defying my mother, I have a lot of stories.
Okay, we have
Um,
time.
if you have time, yeah. Um, I guess the one that's the most freshest, because it just happened, like, a couple years ago, was when I was applying for college.
Mhm.
And I had no idea what I wanted to major in, and thinking, well, because on the Common App, it also, like, allows your parents to see, like, what major you choose when you submit it.
Mm.
So, instead of submitting, uh, a form that said "undecided" and knowing that my mom would be upset if I picked art, I chose Japanese out
Mm.
of, like, a whim. So, I'm a Japanese major now, and
Yeah.
it was until recently my mom told my auntie that she didn't care what major I actually chose. But I know that was, like, not really true, because we had an argument that lasted for hours, and I was just like, "Well, maybe then I shouldn't just go to college, because it's not something I wanna do if I can't choose the thing that I like doing." I don't know, yeah, I think you and Spywi were part of the conversation after that lecture time with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It was, yeah, it was intense. I also don't know if I told you guys that, I don't know if "threaten's" the right word, because I don't wanna put any blame on her, but she basically was very intimidating when I said that my major was Japanese, and she would force me to pick a different major of her choosing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically, and that was the time where I was like, "No, I'm gonna do things my own way because this is what I want to do, even if it's not necessarily the thing I actually want to do, which is, do art and be creative." Yeah. I'm not upset that I took Japanese as a major, but like it would have been very nice to like see support of like choosing an art major.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
My opinion, college is a waste of money.
it honestly is.
Yeah.
Like, I had an inkling of just, like, dropping it, and I brought it up with my parents, and they were like, "No, you should, like that's it's how you get ahead in life," and I was just like, "That's true, but, like, I'll be spending thousands and thousands of dollars for, like, a degree that I probably won't put to use."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? I'm just laughing as
Yeah.
he
Chuckles in the background.
My degree is in my closet somewhere. Like, no joke. It's literally a piece of paper. Now, don't take this the wrong way, people who are listening, as like, don't go to college. You
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
you, whatever's good for your future and your career. I'm just saying, for me, it's like I could have gotten my job and not have done any college work.
Mhm.
Because it's like, basic computer science stuff is fine, but like I didn't have to go through thermal chemistry and psychology and all that. Well, I mean, psychology is fine. I wouldn't have the mind palace without psychology, but
Mhm.
I
Mm.
could have skipped all the like biology stuff and then like math. I don't even use math anymore. I could have taken a class on Microsoft Excel and I would have been doing better in my job now,
Mm.
but I didn't. And it sucks.
Yeah, like, just don't get it wrong, statistically speaking, it is better if you do get a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just how you wanna put up with it.
It looks nicer on a job application
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Like, mentally speaking, I don't know if it's worth it.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at all the people that are suddenly getting into like cryptocurrency and like
Mhm.
stock market and all that, and like baseline, all you have to do is watch a bunch of YouTube videos now.
Mhm.
Like, really, like my dad is doing like stock market stuff, and then I look at him and I'm just like, you're staring at your phone all day and making money, and you're judging me for being at my computer and making money. There's that the hypocrite thing
Oh,
again.
yeah.
So
Oh, is that what you guys talking about last time?
I kind of like steered us back into that, but
Mhm.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah, like no, speaking about computers, like, oh my god. Like, oh my god. When I was I think it was last semester when I was on online classes, um, I was on my computer all the time, right? And when I had a break, I would, like, play Genshin or something, and then my mom would complain, like, "Why are you always on your computer?" And I'm just like, "Huh? Well, my
Oh
classes
my
are on."
god.
Mm,
Yeah, my classes are online. I wanna relax, and the only thing I can do is stuff online because I can't visit friends during COVID, so, like, what do you want me to
Mhm.
do?
Yeah.
she expects you to clean. That's what she wants,
No,
probably.
seriously,
Oh my
deadass,
god.
she does.
Oh my god. Please don't get us into like stereotypical stuff now. Oh my god.
And it's a real thing. She's like, "Why don't you clean the house if you're just doing nothing, huh?"
Yeah, oh my god, that pisses me off.
Indeed.
It really pisses me off.
I'm just like, "But the house is already clean. You cleaned it yesterday." But she's like, there's still more stuff to clean. There's always something to clean in this house. I don't know what it is, but there's always something."
My mom was always like, you should wash the dishes, and I'm just like, you're literally loading dishes into a dishwasher, and you're telling me to wash dishes.
God.
We don't even use a dishwasher. It's a drying rack at my house.
Hell yeah, it
And
is.
alrighty then.
Ugh. Recently I had that scare of like my wrist was like low-key hurting and I couldn't really move it as much.
Mhm.
And turns out it was just really sore, right? Because when I
Mhm.
Mhm.
came back from my trip last weekend, it was all better. It was okay. So thankfully I didn't have to, buy like a wrist brace or anything. And my mom was like worried. He's like, "Oh my god, please don't tell me you don't have carpal tunnel. You're like only 24. Why do you have carpal tunnel?" I'm like, "I don't know. I mean, there's so many things to be stressing about. Literally, people." This just goes back to like all the stuff that I find on TikTok. Literally, like Gen Z or like millennials can't buy homes because the
Oh,
house
the
market
house
is like
market.
super high,
Mhm.
right? And then let alone from that, we talk about like schooling. You know, I guess you would say baby boomers, but like our parents' generation in college was much cheaper than it is now. Tuition is almost like 3-4 times more than it was, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really do anything, or you can't really do much if things aren't really profitable at the moment. And hence why there's like a ton of people that stay home or stay at home with your parents.
Mhm.
Staying home with your parents is logical. It's people should normalize staying home with parents, but the sacrifice that you have to give is your mentality, is your mental state.
Mhm.
That's the sacrifice you have to make
Mm-hmm.
if you want to stay at home. And it sucks.
Yeah,
It really sucks.
indeed.
Yeah,
that's
I
what.
never really sorry.
No,
You
go for it.
go.
Go for it.
Yeah, no, I've never really saw that staying home was like with your parents was like such a big thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like Filipino culture, but I just never thought it was like such a big thing because, I was always taught that you would take care of your parents when they would grow old,
Yeah.
despite what
Yeah.
I think now. But like I just never thought it was a problem, but like in American society it's just like you move out when you're like 18, get your life started and then just vibe.
Yeah. It's that I saw saw TikTok like a couple weeks ago where someone was like, "Mom, why did you want me to be a doctor?" And then the mom goes, "So then you can uh, you know, so you can take care of me when I'm sick. So I don't have to pay for anybody because I have my own personal doctor and it's you." I was like,
Mm,
"Holy shit." That's an eye opener, definitely. I can see why. I
Yeah.
can see I can see why. I know it's like all for jokes and stuff. Like, at least I always joke with how it is at home because I think you kind of just make light of what there is, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
comedy is the best medicine.
yeah. I
Indeed.
mean, we're not like technically like making fun of it. I mean, we are, but I feel like we can just because we've gone through it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I don't think it's funny that like a bunch of us like go through similar experiences. We're just like, haha, we're not alone, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, a whole generation and culture that just messed up all of us, and now we're all basically adults, and we got let loose into the world.
Yeah, we don't know what to do. We don't know what we're doing.
We are all anxious wrecks, or at the very
Oh my
least,
god.
I am. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, no, anxious has helped.
Oh
Like,
my god. I can barely like call somebody over the phone about like renewing my license.
I know, right?
Like I hate the
oh,
DMV so much. Or talking to people at the bank. Like it's such an adult thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that I shouldn't be really afraid of that type of thing. But I get so
mhm.
anxious. It's cuz I don't know. I don't like talking to
Yeah,
people.
yeah. No, definitely. Like, I have the perfect story for this. So I, couple years ago, or not a couple years ago, but like when I was like graduated college, and I was still going back to that campus to visit my girlfriend because she was like a couple years younger than me. I was driving her car, and then I ended up, switching lanes too early, and then ended up, colliding with another car. And that was like the first time, like basically ever, that I had gotten into a car crash. It wasn't,
Oh.
and like knowing me, like I basically had an anxiety attack going through the whole thing. Like
Mhm.
during, after, like even like writing up the report to like, give to the police and whatnot. Yeah, I basically had an anxiety attack. And because I was in a town that was like an hour and a half away from me, like my girlfriend offered like, "Oh, you can stay on the couch like at our place." And
Yeah.
like, and I was just like, I called my dad and I was just saying like, I just went through a car crash. I'm having like this like bad anxiety attack. I can't really drive home. And he's like, "Why? You have nothing to be anxious about."
Oh,
Oh my
I
It
just
god.
had PTSD hearing that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like he thinks that it's like okay because it's just like a car accident. Like I still had to, pay for stuff, but like to hear that and him not believing me that I have like anxiety over things, like or that I could have an anxiety attack, like because I've had them several times. Like sometimes I start hyperventilating, sometimes I literally have to just run to my room because I just can't handle the world.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then they come knocking at the door and they're just saying like, what do you have to be anxious about? What do you have to be sad about? There's nothing wrong. And
Mhm.
that hurts.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh my god. My I had like several instances with, anxiety. There was when I got into my first car crash too. It was when I
Mm,
was running late to practice. And then I accidentally bumped into somebody while this person was trying to make a right turn. So, it was a right turn on a light, and then a pedestrian decided to walk in front of this car. The car immediately stopped. I was right behind him, and I was trying to stop, but my car was still rolling. So I technically hit him, right? There were no like casualties or anything,
mhm,
but that was one thing I was really nervous about to talk to my dad about because he got really mad, and then obviously it affected my practice time too because then my coach was like, "Are you good? Because normally you're not like this." I'm like, "Yeah, I just went through something and I kind of just don't really want to talk about it because I was more so nervous of telling my dad what happened. When I told him, he was like, "Why would you do that? Now now because of what you did, our insurance is going to go up and we have to pay more money. And we
mm,
have to, we have to do this because of what you did." That was something uh that kind of made my anxiety peak. But another one was when the incident when I told him about school, and then I was hyperventilating in front of like my parents because I didn't really know how to handle it. So I was like crying, I was hyperventilating, and then I was getting a little bit dizzy because I didn't really know how to respond. And then, my dad was comforting my mom because my mom was like, "Look at her, she's crazy." Because she's like breathing really quickly, blah, blah, blah. She's crazy. I don't know what she's doing. She's only doing that for attention. I think that was like my very first anxiety attack, like in high school. That was like in high school,
mhm,
right? That was in front of my parents. And then, when my mom said that, I was like, "Oh, you said that. You think I'm crazy." So maybe I shouldn't just tell you about my feelings anymore, because,
Mhm.
they don't think it's a valid reason. Like when the topic of depression showed up or like came up, this was at like a family dinner. My dad blatantly said like, "Why, like, depression isn't a thing."
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, my
mm,
dad doesn't believe in depression, but my mom tells him that she has it. But I don't know what he thinks about it. But I remember him saying like he doesn't believe in depression. Like why being sad? Like there's no reason for you to be sad. Just get over it. So.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I have one story maybe about like mental health issues with Asian parents.
Mhm.
Eh, TW, like it's kind of sad.
It's okay.
Yeah, no. Basically, I was put on like suicide watch during my high school year, like during junior year.
Mm.
So one day I basically came up to my homeroom teacher and was like, "Yeah, I did this thing. I did some sort of self-harm."
Mm.
And she told basically our dean about it. So I'd be pulled in and out of classes, and then I had
Mhm.
to talk with my mom at home about it. She was very angry, which understandable. I didn't tell her anything, but she was like more angry than sympathetic or like
Yeah.
empathetic of like what I was going through. She was like, "Why are you sad? Like you have nothing to be sad about."
Mhm.
And I was just like, "Wow, holy shit. No one really cares." And I was just in a turmoil of, like, self-doubt, self-hate. It was a very tough time for me,
Mhm.
and I even suggested that we go to, like, a counselor or something, and basically she said, "No."
Mhm.
And she said, "If I talked about, like, what I'm going through, you're just gonna end up, like, in a crazy house or, like, a
Oh,
psycho ward."
yeah.
And her
Yeah.
biggest fear was that she would get arrested with all of, like, the crazy stuff I'm saying. Like, yeah, I'm so sad. I'm so upset of like with the way I'm living and stuff. Like she was afraid like she'd get arrested. And I was like trying to comfort her, being like, yeah, that's not what happens. They just like give you an evaluation, take you to therapy or whatever. And
Yeah.
I told my social worker about that too. And she agreed with me, and it was basically that. I feel like I have another story about this too. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's about her being a hypocrite. Love you, mom. Anyway,
Oh.
yeah, after my dad passed away, she was really big on mental health. Like, she wanted me to talk to, like, a therapist, to which I said no, and she was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, because you've always denied me going to, like, therapy or, like, seeing mental health or, like, seeking, like, mental awareness or
Uh-huh.
aid for it." And I was just like, "Wow, this is, like, you're a little too late in, like, asking or, like, providing me
Mhm.
advice and all the resources." So I'm just like, I got my friends now. They're they're my go-to people whenever I feel down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
But
think
yes.
my parents didn't consider mental health as like a subject thing until my brother said that that's what he wanted to do because he majors in psychology.
Mhm,
So, and he wants to be a high school counselor because he's seen what uh how effective mental health is, especially to children.
mhm,
um this was like something that my brother and I have seen because we work with kids and we see how different it is, and we always tell them like stories because like like my mom always tells me, or she always asks like how's your day before before COVID, and then like I was always busy. I was always busy with like school work, anything, right? So my brother would always talk about like mental health, and then that's when my mom's like, oh, I'm gonna read a lot. I've been reading a lot about like mental health stuff. And lately, most of the shows that she's been watching, most of the shows would always talk about it. So it's a good thing that she's slightly aware of it, but sometimes you can't break habits.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Habits, unless you actually um, work on changing your habits, they will never change. And I think that's why at home, I taught instead of this is something that I've been doing a lot recently. Instead of being very submissive and telling them like, okay, you're telling me to do this, okay, I'll do it. Even though I don't want to, then I'll do it.
Mhm,
I've been
yeah.
voicing my opinion a lot, and thankfully they would listen sometimes. But then, they would try to make it into like an argument. But then I would have a reason, and then they can't really say anything anymore because then now that I'm talking to them how they wanted me to, that's all that they can do. So, I digress.
Yeah, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like my mom just wants to pick a fight. Like,
Oh,
it'd be over,
sometimes,
like, the
yeah.
yeah, no, like, it'd be over the smallest thing, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
Like, your tone of voice. Like,
Yep.
sometimes I'm in, like, one room, and I'm just yelling, and she's like, "Don't yell at me, huh?" Like,
Yep.
you know?
Every Asian that's listening to this just felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or she or sometimes when she needs help looking for her phone and I genuinely don't know where it is, she's like, "Well, why don't you know?" And I'm
Why
just like,
don't you know my password to my Facebook?
"Oh my god, no, it happens." And I'm just
Yeah.
like, "How am I supposed to know?" Like,
Oh
you
my
never share
god.
these details with me, or I either do the thing and you just want me to do it in a specific way. Like, I'll be washing dishes, right? And I'll be, like, putting, like, the clean dishes already onto, like, the drying rag, and she's like, "No, no, no, no. You have to clean all the dishes first and then put all of them in the drying rack instead of, like, doing just some at a time," and I'm just like, "But they're still getting clean either way." And, uh, God, it's just
Oh
the
boy.
nitty-gritty bits.
Even if we're doing something right, we're doing it wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. There's no winning. Like, you'll
There's
only
Never.
win if you're a doctor or something, I don't know.
Oh my god. Have you seen that post where there's this doctor, or like he was going to space. He has like 4 PhDs. He has one of his degrees is like on uh like neuroscience or something. He's technically like the perfect Asian kid. and then someone made like a meme saying like, this is our worst fear. We may never we shall not show this image or article to our parents. We
Any
sign
of
that
our Asian
allegiance.
parents, I feel
Anybody. Everyone was just like, I agree.
Oh Lord, I saw the picture.
Well, you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I saw the
Yeah.
picture. I
Yeah,
remembered.
I remember that from a long time ago, and that post magically disappeared. I can never find it anymore.
Mm.
good. Like, if
Let's
it's
not
gone,
dig
out of
that
sight,
back
out of
up.
mind.
Mhm.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. I don't know what else to talk about other than like how you're dealing with it now. You know?
I
Okay.
mean,
Unless we already
yeah,
talked about it, I'm not sure.
Oh, unless
kind
Spywi
of.
has something.
No, we kind of touched on it, but like, I think like I'll say something at the end. But go ahead, Macon.
Oh, mine was like a whole different spiel. I was gonna talk about like gender norms in Asian households.
Oh my god!
Oh.
No, hold up.
Well
Wait, that's
then.
real. That's real.
Yeah,
We should
let's
talk
do that.
about
Let's do that. Let's do that.
That's
Okay,
real.
okay.
That's
Okay, let me
real.
start. Okay. So in my house, I am the eldest daughter, and I have a younger brother, a younger sibling. And, at first it started with general chores that you are given in the house. Growing up, my grandma taught me how to wash dishes, and she taught me the essence of like cooking, like how important it is because then you can feed everybody. And, you know, sorting out laundry. I actually did laundry today, funny enough. And then there's my brother. His chores are taking out the trash, maybe clearing out the lawn outside. Very like much more laborious work. But this is years later, for some reason, this one I just so happen to have like both, and it sucks. But when you have a younger sibling, in general, parents don't really acknowledge that they're also sometimes bigger, and they have, the muscle mass to do whatever you want them, or you want something done. But then for some reason they just rely on the older kid, and the older kid has like no time for anything. And then they always complain, or how tired they are. Like I always complain about how tired I am. One thing that I complain to you guys about a lot, and I'm pretty sure some viewers that are listening can relate to this, at least some female viewers. I don't go out. I don't go out.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, no, I understand.
I don't go out. I have my friend group is very small, and I come home at a reasonable time. The only time I'm ever out is either if I'm with my friends or if I had like a job. Now that my job is indoors, thankfully I work at home, comfortably at home. When I go out in the mornings and I come back at least like 3. My brother, who is 3 years younger than me, goes out, comes home 2 a.m., doesn't get, yelled at or anything. But if I come home, like if they tell me to come home at 9 and I come home at 9:01, I get yelled at because I was out too long. That was that was actually a story that happened like a long time ago. It for some reason it took like a lot of courage for me to try to convince my mom to let me go to this concert. I have never been to a concert except for that one time.
Oh,
I went to a concert one time, but then when I came home, at the time that she told me to come home, she gave me the silent treatment because I went. I
but
don't
she gave you the yes though.
I know she did. But I just think that she just didn't like that I like the idea that I went. I went with my boyfriend at the time.
Oh, I see.
And that's also another topic to talk about. Jesus Christ.
Ooh, yes.
Relationships. Oh Jesus. Okay, but yeah, at home I end up doing everything. And then that's why sometimes I stream from 12 to 3, because if I'm caught streaming, then they complain, "Why are you always on your computer? Why are you always gaming? You never do anything. You're so lazy. All you do is play games." And then there's my brother screaming at 3 in the morning playing Raft because Bruce decides to wreck his ship, and then they don't say anything. And then when he streamed for 12 hours straight,
I
right?
saw that. I was there.
He streamed for 12 hours straight. His stream went unbothered. No one my parents didn't interrupt him. But even like earlier, I was muted earlier because my mom walked in. "You're always at your desk." Go like why don't you guys like why don't you get up and like walk around or something? You're always at your desk. You're gonna have carpal tunnel. What are you even doing? I'm like, I'm recording something. Oh, okay, but just stand up or something. You know, you're always at your desk or something. I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know why it's very gender biased at home. At least in my situation, it's not fair. It's not fair at all. I can barely like I still even to this day, I still have to hide a lot of things. I went to Santa Cruz recently and I had to tell them that I was going with my friends just so I can meet an online friend and just get coffee. We literally just met for like 10 minutes and that's it. We left. Ugh. It's so tiring. I'm take the mic. Someone take the mic.
Spywi, you
Go.
go.
I'm not sure because it's like I don't know. I feel like I'm my family's part of like that section of the Asian parents where the brothers or the boys are considered like the I don't know. The boys are considered the what Macon was considered because my parents basically like they hold my youngest sister to like the highest regard to the point where like I don't know if I had told you, but my sister is basically kind of like almost like a hipster at this
Oh.
point.
Oh.
She has like the Instagram room with like the shelves and like the plants and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like
You.
my sister is the one that spends the most time with my parents, and so that's why I think she's also the youngest, so obviously she gets pampered the most.
Hmm.
But it's like um there was a one time recently this year actually in quarantine that like my parents were like in the other room talking with my sister about like what they were going to buy on Amazon and stuff. And it's like just a bunch of like, aesthetic stuff or like phone cases, iPad cases.
Hmm.
And then I talk about, you know, buying a shirt on Amazon. And then I get the whole like you need to save money lecture. You need to not spend so much online.
Sorry.
And yeah, no, it's fine. It's like and then my parents are just like, "Oh, you need to learn how to cook. Because you won't be able to feed yourself on your own. You can't just keep eating cup ramen on your own." And
Mm.
then they compare me to my sister who does like some of the cooking and it's just like I can cook and if you want me to cook, I will. The problem is that by the time I am like home and ready to start cooking, like, you guys have already been in the kitchen for 3 hours already cooking.
Mhm.
So it's like, I can't really do anything because, like, you and my sister are, like, you know, already doing it. And then
True.
and then I get called lazy for it because I'm not doing it or I'm not doing anything.
Mm.
Mhm.
So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird, like, flipped gender norm, which actually, like, kind of is part of another Asian culture. Because I used to date. I don't know if you guys know about Hmong culture,
Mm.
HMONG.
Mm.
Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That one. I was dating someone who was like, who was Hmong, and a similar situation where like the boys would be like up all night playing video games, and like the girls were like the ones doing all the housework, the chores, the gardening, and like it was so weird to me to be sitting in that house and like to not have like anybody complaining at me, so to speak, for not doing anything.
Mhm.
Mm.
Because like the boys could be sitting there and playing like PS5 and not like be doing house chores and whatnot, and then like the girls get yelled at when they actually like sit down to rest after like mopping or like after cleaning or cooking.
Mm.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm sort of in that reverse role.
Mhm.
Yeah. For me, I'm definitely the outlier in our trio because I'm the only child. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm also happy while you guys are all fullies. But my gender experience, it was very mixed. I was expected to do everything, so yard work and like housework. I was expected to cook. I'm no longer allowed in the kitchen, so that's a thing now. I was always supposed to like help with heavy lifting question mark like in the garage and with the cars and stuff like doing autos things. It was weird. But
Mhm.
then like when it came around to like when I was like a teenager, my mom was like, "Why are you like being boyish? You gotta find a husband someday. They'll never like you if you like
Mm.
man spread." I used to man spread a lot.
Oh my god, wait, my mom used to tell me like all the time. Like I played a lot of sports when I was younger,
Uh-huh.
and I did not really care about how I looked until like she started
Yeah.
telling me like you look like this. You look like this. It's ugly,
Mhm.
and it affected me. I was like, and I got really self-conscious.
Yeah,
And
oh
then
my
that's it.
god.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, keep going, you can go.
When your mom tells you you're supposed to act this way, you're not supposed to act the other way.
Right. Yeah, it was like normal for me. I don't
Mm.
know. I like this one story when I was in high school. I was on the volleyball team, right? Um, as a half white person, I'm also very hairy for an Asian. So, like, I did not shave my legs. And my volleyball teammates would make fun of me. And when I would confront my mom about it, she'd be like, "Well, that's normal. Just do whatever." And I was just like, well, I'm self-conscious, so, like,
Hmm.
it's not normal, I guess, in, like, non-Filipino eyes or, like, Filipino eyes or yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know, I feel like there's just a bunch of expectations, especially for Filipinos, depending on your gender or however
Mm.
you wanna portray yourself. Like, I definitely know that one of my cousins in the Philippines, she's very athletic, so she does a bunch of sports, but she's called a tomboy because of it,
Mm.
which is sad.
Hmm.
And yeah, they want her to be like more feminine, so like they've been like showing her like makeup tutorials and all that stuff. Like it's very binary
Yeah.
Mm.
for everything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. Actually, that kind of my younger cousin, she's like 12,
Hmm.
and she's the oldest, and then her younger brother is like a year younger than her. And so she doesn't really have that much exposure with I guess with feminine stuff. And my uncle really pushes like major feminine stuff. Like he made her wear a dress and he wasn't happy. Or she wasn't happy. Like the way that she dresses, um she wears, I guess, kind of like something what I would wear, like flannels and like shirts and then like leggings, right? Something
Hmm.
very basic, something very comfy. She dresses very comfy. But my uncle wanted her to wear like bows and dresses and stuff like that because that's all he knows. But she didn't like it. And I was having a talk with my cousin, like, you know, what did I say? Oh my god, I'm brain farting. um, I guess like you don't have to meet up to their standards. You make your own standards.
Hmm.
And I mean, you could take whatever that they say with a grain of salt. They only mean what's best for you, but in the end, it's what you think of yourself and how you want to dress yourself. That's what if that's what you're comfortable with, then by all means, then
Hmm.
go for it. Rock it. You can rock it. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, girl, do a stride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. What else did you guys want to talk about? We could talk about the relationships in part of Asian parenting,
Hmm.
unless we already touched upon that a little bit.
Well, not really. Like in terms of relationships for me, like the only thing my parents really wanted was for me to date a Catholic. And
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's
Mm-hmm.
that's that religion thing that we could make an entire video just on that. But
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
different topic,
but
different
like
Yeah.
topic.
like I don't know why, but like specifically all the girls that I've either liked or like have dated are either not Catholic or like are pushing away from religion or Christianity.
Is this the rebellious thing? Is
I
this the rebellious
I
side of
Yeah.
you?
I don't know why. But like like even one of the girls that I had a crush on like a little while ago, it's like she was in church her whole life and like just like recently she told me like oh I'm thinking about like leaving the faith, and I'm just like huh, well I guess that checks out with the pattern that I've been seeing over the past few years. I think it's just a subconscious thing, like going against what my parents want, but at the same time, it's just like, why that specifically?
If you think about it, it's kind of relatable. Opposites attract.
Mm-hmm.
low-key.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Opposites definitely attract. With my experiences, I've only dated like 2 people, right? Of like my whole life because one, I was always afraid of what my parents will think of of the significant other that I choose. And then two, it's I guess would my parents approve, I guess. And my first experience was it was very rocky. It was like okay. Like that my boyfriend at that time, met with my parents and then actually before that, we weren't actually supposed to meet in person. We were on like a family trip and then
Ooh.
he just so happened to be on the he just so happened to be in the same city. And then I asked my mom, I was like, "Can we go meet him? He wants to see you guys." Right? You guys know of him, right? So, I want you to meet him, right? And she was very against it. She was very against it. She's like, "We are here on a family trip. We're not here to meet some guy, right?" And then but eventually we ended up meeting, but then she was not happy. Like she was not happy with me because of that. The second experience was also a bit rocky because they they would always give me their opinion about the guy.
Ooh.
And then I didn't really at the time I didn't really know how to say no. I don't know how to say no. So every time when they told me their opinion about him, like they would I would believe them. And then that kind of like shifted like my point of view, which ultimately ruined the relationship, you know? And I couldn't experience a lot of things with this person without like my parents glaring at me for what I was doing. So it was dating was hard. Dating is hard at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom made a joke last weekend, like, "Oh, you're probably gonna have a boyfriend, but like you're probably gonna have a boyfriend before you finish school." And I'm like, "Okay, what is that supposed to mean? Why would you say that?" And she's like, I'm just joking. I'm just saying. I'm like, you can't just subtly drop that and then just not give a reason. I don't know. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things I could like say, but I think it's just because of the messy experiences that I went through. I can't really put it into words
Mm.
because of how ridiculous it sounds, in my opinion. So that's why sometimes I just date in secret. So, and then I've always thought of the scenario if I were to get into an argument, my phrase, if I were to get into an argument with my parents, my phrase would just be like, "Are you dating them?" No, I'm dating them, not you guys.
Oh.
Yeah, so when I thought about that, I was like, okay, so I'm gonna plan out my funeral afterward. I'm gonna have it at this
Mm.
site at this time.
Ooh.
Jesus Christ.
Understandable. Yeah. Yeah, I'm also an outlier in this topic too. I've never actually dated someone. I've never
Mm.
dated anyone. I'm single my whole life, still single now. I guess the closest that I've gone to a date was when one of my friends offered to take me to a movie theater to watch Endgame, and another one of our friends was like supposed to come with us, so there was 3 of us, but he had like I think sports practice, so he had to like cancel on us last second, and it was just me and the other dude. Like that's the closest I'll ever get to a date.
Mm.
But, like, in terms of relationship, like, going out and, like, looking at my prospects, literally the only thing that my mom ever told me was, like, "Make sure he treats you right. That's all that matters."
That's the most nicest thing that she's ever said.
Yeah, at least to me, and, like, I've been asked out a lot, I've just never said yes to a guy.
Woo!
Yeah, I just, like, because it's
Woo!
always that weird thing, it's either, like, we're acquainted and I don't really know them and they like me, or, like, we're, like, really, really close friends and they just start confessing, and I'm just like, "Ooh,
Mhm.
we're
sorry,
we're
finger
gonna talk
guns."
we're gonna talk about this later once like, we stop recording, but like I I I've only known you for like about roughly like what, 3 years, right? Has
Roughly 3,
roughly
4.
3 years. I've been seeing
Yeah.
a pattern. I've low-key
Yeah.
been seeing a pattern. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've been seeing a pattern. Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about that later.
Okay, sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was, like, in terms of, like, relationships and my love life. That's all as like,
Mm,
as far as it goes.
mhm.
But yeah.
curious, how long have we been talking for?
Officially recording for about an hour 35.
Damn, I felt
Oh,
like it was
wait.
longer.
Yeah, I thought we hit the 2-hour mark.
I
I
know.
thought we hit like 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
I thought we were talking for way longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, not bad, not bad.
I don't know. Is there anything
Yeah.
else you guys want to bring up or like comments on?
Comment what we should talk about next.
Uh,
You guys should definitely comment what we should
Yeah.
talk about next.
yeah. Don't give us
feel
any
like-
too hard topics.
Oh yeah.
Don't give us too easy topics either.
Comment down below what you want to hear us talk about next time.
Oh, right. The thing that I wanted to say before we sort of wrap things up is like we'll put some resources in the description. Like
Sure,
we'll
for sure.
pull together some resources.
Mhm.
If you guys need help for anything, don't ever be afraid to reach out and ask for help.
Mhm.
Like especially like, in terms of like self-harm, suicidal thoughts, like
Mhm.
there's helplines, there's numbers that you can call, there's websites and resources. So we'll put those down in the description. I'll remind myself, and one of you can send me, or both of you can send me some resources if I can't find all of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my last comment would be like, if you still don't get like Asian parenting, just watch any of the Jo Koy like
Yeah.
things on Netflix. He sums it down pretty well
Yeah.
in terms of like being an Asian American and growing up like with an immigrant parent.
Yeah.
It's like all the jokes are there. It's funny, but it's also sad if you've also experienced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Take us home, Wizzy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for joining us on our crazy journey. It was very vulnerable, and I hope you learned something from it, or at least you feel like you're not alone in your experiences, and or shared a laugh or two with us. Next time we'll be talking about a different topic. I don't know what we'll be talking about. You want to say your goodbyes, guys?
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
for listening, and again, comment what we should talk about next. We have like several topics, but I think we just need time to brainstorm.
Yeah. I didn't really think
Uh,
this podcast through. I didn't even write anything down.
Yeah, it was definitely like something.
Freestyle, for sure.
Yeah, freestyle for sure compared to last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I hope you enjoyed our little rants and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Podcast out. I don't know how to end this. We still never found an ending.
We're terrible. Listen,
That's fine.
Not good.
All right. I'm just gonna end it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.